Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all. Episode 344. I'm Sanjay Parekh.
And I'm
not Brutus.
Not Brutus. Not Brutus. We have a big episode for you today. A lot of stuff, a lot of articles from Sanjay in particular. So they're way more on the technology side and probably less interesting. So you should just stop listening now. But no, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So let's dive in though. Let's dive in. So first article, Google Olympics ad sparks new ire over generative AI. And apparently when you ask the AI about the AI ad, even the AI knows that the AI ad is crap. So, what's the new Google AI? It's
Gemini.
Gemini. And it's a commercial where a parent asks a kid, like a kid wants to write a letter to an Olympian, and Gemini helps draft the personal letter to the Olympian. And basically the cringe is like, it's a personal letter. Maybe you should just be authentic and write it yourself.
Yeah.
And even Gemini, when you ask Gemini about the ad, it was like, yeah, it's impersonal and you shouldn't use AI for that. So,
right. Yeah. This is not good. I mean, there's a lot of great uses, I think, of AI.
Yeah.
And I know people use it for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But highlighting it for that is probably not the best look. And it's funny because I've seen like a number of things out there now where there's like applications to join organizations and things like that. And they very specifically say you are not allowed to use AI to answer these questions.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
I don't know how they're if they're doing anything on the back end.
Filter, maybe. Yeah. There's certain words. Well, there's certain words that AIs use that normal humans typically don't. And so they look for those words or whatever else. I will tell you a really good use of AI that I used this morning. So we're about halfway through the year. And I wanted to know if I'm on pace to pay my right amount of taxes.
Okay.
Because I've got like several sort of different income streams and things like that from, different companies, whatever. So I kind of gave like the ChatGPT, like all the details about my family, and I've filed jointly, and I've got X many kids, and I've got, income from this W-2 and just kind of very broad details.
Right.
It was like, how much should I expect to owe in taxes? And it did like this very deep analysis of all of the different tax liabilities and all the tax rate in the state of Georgia and all that sort of stuff. And it basically came out with spit out a number at the end. It was like, this is what you should expect to pay. And I was like, that's actually the number I was expecting to pay. So that's perfect. And I'm on track to pay that. So I won't owe the government a ton of money. So I was like, that's a pretty good use of AI. I like that.
As long as it doesn't hallucinate in that kind of analysis.
True.
And then you end up in jail because the IRS comes for you.
Well, I mean, like I said, I already had a hunch of what I was going to owe anyway. So it was
it's good confirmation.
Yeah. It was basically just confirming what I already knew to be true.
And I think
it made me feel better.
That's a useful thing to use AI for, right? Like, the thing, and we're going to talk about another AI thing in a little bit, but the thing that I worry about AI is that we get to the point where we aren't actually creating new things. And so what does AI have to feed on? Because all this is doing on AI. Right. Exactly. And then it's just all garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
And does this kind of just go down the drain very quickly? I don't know. We'll see.
Moving on.
Something that hopefully is not going to go down the drain for one company and is for another. Delta CEO says the CrowdStrike, and it's really just the CrowdStrike outage. It says in this article, CrowdStrike Microsoft.
Yeah, but it's just
not really
Microsoft's. It wasn't. It's not Microsoft's
issue.
Fault. Yeah.
Cost the airline $500 million. And another story I read that they are all absolutely going to go after them for compensation. To get paid back for that.
CrowdStrike is going to go bankrupt for sure. I can't imagine a scenario where they don't go bankrupt.
Yeah, this is not. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, we have figured out CrowdStrike is used by so many companies.
Yeah.
What happens if they do go bankrupt? Like all of those companies
somebody
then
buys
need to
them
find
for pennies on the dollar or something. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe,
buys the software, buys the IP or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And then continues on the service for all those companies.
Yeah. Hopefully better. I mean, ideally. Yeah. But I mean, but here's the thing
I think you and I should get like $50 together. And
I'll give $50. I got $50 for it. No problem.
Yeah.
So Delta lost $500 million. That's $500 million lost flights. that doesn't account for the damage to the brand. I can't tell you how many TikToks I saw that were anti-Delta at Hartsfield Jackson. It's like, and I'm looking at it like, it's not Delta's fault.
No.
Like, it's not like it's not their direct fault. And so, but like,
there's just the lightning rod, right? Like you can't go and complain to CrowdStrike when you're at the airport stuck. Yeah. So you're going to complain to Delta.
So I think the damage is exponentially larger than 500 million, not just for Delta, but for tons of other airlines too. So, I mean, I think CrowdStrike is facing a very difficult, future at this point. So, all right. Next up, cyber attack hits blood donation nonprofit One Blood, which is awful. Like, listen, I'm all against, everybody's against cyber attacks, but come on, a blood bank, like a blood donor, like, come on, really?
Yeah. So they have basically had to scramble. Their systems have been attacked. I think it's like a ransomware thing. Yeah. So they've gone to paper and pencil and they've told all of their blood banks or all of their hospitals that they serve to basically go into like an emergency situation in terms of all this blood. This is not okay.
That's not cool,
right?
Man.
Like
it's not cool.
It's not okay
cool,
on
but
multiple.
It's super not cool.
This is, people can die. From this kind of thing. Like, this is just no. Just
that's no.
Just
that's a no.
No. But also, like, I don't know what One Blood is doing. Like, they need better cybersecurity stuff. And also, maybe you should. And we've said this so many times. Maybe you should not connect things to the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, not everything. Like, you could run a blood bank system and not be on the internet. Yeah. It doesn't need to be on the internet. It's okay. Like, I don't know.
All right.
Something else that's not going to be on the internet because it's going to be permanently broken. There is no fix for Intel's crashing 13th and 14th gen CPUs. Any damage is permanent. So, we've not yet talked about this. I've been reading the stories for the last few weeks. There is a issue with their latest gen CPUs, and there's a thermal runaway issue that can, if it happens, permanently damages the CPU. There is no way to fix it once this happens because physically damaged on the chip. Intel says that they're going to release some kind of patch or upgrade firmware fix to keep this from happening, but there is no timeline. And if your CPU gets damaged, that fix ain't going to help you.
And along those same lines, next article, Intel will cut over 15,000 jobs amid struggles to turn itself around. So Intel's not
and produce CPUs that don't damage themselves.
It's not doing so well right now. So that's
hopefully those 15,000 jobs are not the couple of people that need to fix those CPUs. Because otherwise you might be waiting for a while. It's amazing, like, where Intel has come from and come to, and now it's kind of sliding back down again.
Every business has a trajectory. Cycles, they all do. And like there will come a day, and I think we're seeing a slowdown on Google personally. I don't know about some of the other behemoths out there, but like, I think, there comes a day where there's decline. I mean, look at GE. GE was the company for so long, and then they just took a nosedive. And,
Well, what I find interesting in this space is that Intel is basically a forced duopoly with AMD. Yeah. So way back in the day in the 80s, when Microsoft and all that stuff was happening, it basically was written in, and IBM PCs was written in that they could not have a monopoly on the technology around this stuff. And that created AMD and this basically opportunity for two different chip makers to make chips that then Microsoft, DOS back in those days, and then Windows, could all run on. So that's why you have still this duopoly between AMD and Intel. So if Intel, let's say, I don't think this would ever happen. If they went away, I don't know what happens then.
I don't know.
And how somebody else kind of fills that void. So,
I don't know.
Trying to fill that void, you might not be able to get into the place that treats you well. For this, ID scanners can change how your local bar treats you and whether it lets you in. So this is kind of an offshoot of a story that we told, talked about a long time ago about Madison Square Garden preventing people from coming in when they were lawyers at a law firm that was suing Madison Square Garden, even if those lawyers were not involved in those lawsuits. So apparently, and I knew nothing about this. I can't tell you the last time I've been in a bar. It's been decades now at this point.
I can't say that I've ever been to a bar where there's like a line to get in, like where you have to like scan. Like I've never been in that. You know, like they have them in those sitcoms. You're like, they're like waiting in a line, and it's like, oh man, and I wonder if the bouncers are going to let me in. Like, I've literally never been in that situation. I don't even. Is that even real? Is that a thing? Like, I don't even know. Like,
I will say I have been in that line before.
Okay,
I went. We were in Miami, I think, for
did you get
spring break. I did get in.
Okay.
I was under 21, so I had like a scarlet letter on me saying that I wasn't allowed to drink or whatever, which was fine. I didn't drink anyway, so it was whatever. But so apparently bars have rolled out this one company's system where they do face scans and then scan your ID, and the bar can then ban people based on their behavior. But there's another list that the bars can share amongst themselves, that if you have behaved badly in one bar, that other bars that subscribe to that list will then also prevent you from entering their venues. So
on the one hand, I don't like it. On the other hand, I kind of love it. Like I love the idea that like a doofus that's acting like a doofus can get banned from a bunch of bars because you don't want that person around, you know?
Right.
But, I don't know.
Right. But what if they were illegitimately labeled a doofus at one place because somebody didn't like them, or because they were involved in a fracas, but they didn't actually cause it. Yeah. And now they're banned from everywhere. Right.
Yeah,
so the company says that they review these things and whatnot, but there's always going to be edge cases where it's like, oh, but you did this one wrong. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on to some legal stuff. Amazon is legally responsible for recalling dangerous products sold on its site. Agency fines. I don't get this at all. Like on the one hand, well, I mean, as a consumer, like I don't want to buy something on Amazon that's dangerous. But Amazon is a marketplace, and like you can put virtually anything on there. Like, how in the world can they manage? Like, how can they be responsible for that? Like, I mean, in many ways, it's like eBay. Like, I can go sell all kinds of stuff. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I missing something here?
Yeah, I think the difference here is eBay gets a listing fee, whereas Amazon actually takes a cut on the sales. And for a lot of those products, they are actually fulfilling as well, right? So they're storing in their warehouse and then shipping it out and doing all of those things. So I think there's a difference. And let me be clear. I'm a big fan of Amazon. We're Amazon Prime users. I'm a shareholder as well. The whole thing. That said, they're a huge company and they should be doing things to protect their consumers. I think it's only good for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. They should do things, but like, there's no scenario where it would be possible for Amazon to test and approve every product that they sell. Like that's completely impossible, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, like this sort of takes you in that direction.
Yeah, so I think this is different because they're not being told that they have to test and approve them. It's if there's recalls on these devices or products, they should not be selling them and still being allowed that them to be sold into the marketplace, right?
So they need to monitor for recalls and then remove them from the marketplace proactively. Which I did not read it that way. I read it. Okay, that's different, and that's I think a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible for them to know that every single product is safe. And that's what the Consumer Product Safety Commission is for. Is like they do these recalls. They say that these products are not safe or whatnot. And they are there to make sure that us as consumers are buying products that are not dangerous. And I applaud that. I'm a big fan of that. And yes, you should take more tax money to do that because that keeps us all safe. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think, Amazon definitely should not fight this. I think they should do as much as they can to help protect consumers. Is it ever going to be perfect? Probably not. I mean, that's the reason why we have recalls and products out there, right?
Yeah,
if everything was perfect, we would never have products that were dangerous.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have etten lead chip paint as a kid. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like, that's it. No, I'm just kidding. I never did that. And that never happened. That never happened.
Yeah. So. Let's see, where are we at next? Oh, net neutrality. Here's another fun one.
Yay.
U.S. courts block Biden administration net neutrality rules. And there you go. So here's the thing. Every one of you that's listening to this, if you have the time, I would love for you to reach out to your congressperson, or your senator or whoever it is that is in power that you vote for in the federal government and express your upsettedness at this, because this is not okay.
Yeah.
What you're basically saying is companies are allowed to control your access to content. Now, I know there's the pro-business side that says like, oh, these companies have the pipes and they should be allowed to make money off of them. No. Sorry, that's not it. If you want to do that, create your own network that is separate from the internet.
Recreate AOL.
Exactly.
We're fine with that. Go be AOL. AOL can be AOL.
AOL did that back in the day, and they were able to control what's on it. Nobody complained about that.
Yeah.
That's your own walled garden network.
Totally fine.
Go do that.
Yeah.
And if you can compete and people want to be on your thing, rock on.
Great.
Right?
More power
But
to
the
you.
internet, the thing that you're connecting to, the thing that we paid for with our tax dollars is supposed to be open and free.
Right.
And just because there's a lot of content from somebody like Netflix coming down your pipes doesn't mean you get to say like, oh, you're clogging up my pipes and I need to charge you more money. No, that's not the deal.
Right.
The deal is you're already getting paid for that access by consumers that are paying you for access to the network. The other end of it is that you've got to accept that data because that's what your consumers are asking for.
Yeah.
If you don't like them watching a lot of Netflix, maybe you should provide your own movie system.
Build something better.
Is better that doesn't clog up your pipes, right? Go compete that way. But prioritizing traffic, that's not okay. So if you want to have free and fair access to anything that you want on the internet, call your congressperson, complain to them about this, say this is not okay, and you need to do something about this.
Agreed.
I'm off my soapbox now.
Moving on, court closes the loophole, letting the feds search your phone at the border. What I really like about this title is they call them the feds. Like they're not, you can't, man, those feds, they can't search your phone at the border anymore. Yeah.
The feds are coming for you.
The feds aren't going to be able to do it. I love that.
Stick it to them.
I love that.
So the issue was before that, basically they were searching your phone when you crossed back into the US and without a subpoena, without a warrant, without anything. And they were just like, no, we can do whatever we want. And the court said, no, that's not the way it is.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Searching your bags is different to prevent, contraband or, illegal things or things that are dangerous from entering the country. I'm a big fan of that. Let's not let dangerous things enter the country, things that can cause havoc and whatnot.
Yeah.
But searching somebody's phone, not the same thing.
Totally agree.
Not the same thing at all. Something that is not the same thing at all, which is kind of awesome. MIT engineers create hydrogen fuel from soda cans, seawater, and caffeine. They rename themselves MacGyver right after that.
I mean, listen, what this reminds me of, what this reminds me of is Back to the Future at the end when he's got the fuel cell
Mr. Fusion.
Mr. Fusion on top of the DeLorean, and he's stuffing it, and you can see coffee grounds as a part of the trash he's stuffing in going in. I'm like, they knew they were right.
Yeah, banana peels he throws in there, all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He just out of the garbage, and and then he goes, "No, where we're going, we don't need roads."
Yeah, and then he flies.
Just flies off, with the Mr. Fusion. There you go. Yes. So this is really interesting. There's a opportunity here where, the problem with having hydrogen, I don't know if you remember this thing. It's called the Hindenburg. It was filled with hydrogen, and then it exploded.
It didn't go well. Yeah.
Because here's the thing with hydrogen. It explodes
it
really
goes
easily.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much, and it just boom, boom. So if you could figure this out, you could actually then fill up your car with water.
Yeah.
And then have it create hydrogen as you need it.
Right.
And then the car runs.
That'd be great. I'm all for that. Let's do that.
Kind of awesome,
That'd
right?
be great.
Like a water car is what you would have.
That's better than a water bed. I'm just saying. So. All right. Next up, before Weird and Wacky, you can and should stop charging your phone when it hits 80%. I think we've talked about this before. But it's just kind of a good public service announcement here. When your phone hits 80%, just stop charging it. And when it gets to 20%, start charging it. That 80 to 20, that's the magic numbers there.
Well, one of the great things that this article kind of points out, and I think we've talked about this before, is now both Android and iPhones have a setting that you can set in there, because most of us probably charge overnight, right? So you plug it in when you go to bed, you unplug it when you get up in the morning. So you're not going to wake up at 3 a.m. being like, oh, it's probably at 80%. Let me unplug it.
Yeah.
So you can just set it, and within software, it'll stop charging once it hits 80%. So truth be told, I've not had this on my phone for a long time. I think the Android actually goes to 85%, at least the Android version I've got.
Yeah.
So just after I read this article, I was like, you know what? I should probably do this again.
I need to do it again too. Yeah.
And I've set it to 85 because
Same.
honestly, like I've got my Android is a couple of years old now at this point, and it still functions fine. I don't feel like I need a new phone. So anything that I can do to extend the battery life so it's not super short is probably a good thing, so that I don't have to buy a new phone.
So related to this, if you have a phone that doesn't do this for you, I got a tip for you. It's a free tech rec that I was not expecting, but I've gotten recently a Govee smart outlet. And what I love about it, and I use this all the time, I use it to charge my VR headset. I use it to charge my headphones, is I'll plug whatever it is I want to charge into the outlet, and I don't want it to charge forever because I don't want it to mess up my battery over time. So I can go to the Govee app and say, hey, charge this for 2 hours and then turn the outlet off. And so the outlet just goes off after 2 hours and I'm good to go. And so I use it all the time to charge my devices when I want to make sure they're not overcharging, which is nice.
We have a couple of these devices. It's this little Belkin switch that they don't make anymore, and I'm very upset about this. But it had basically it has a little slider switch on the side for 30 minutes, 3 hours, 30 minutes, 3 hours, and 6 hours.
Nice.
And so what it is, it's got a button on the top that you just push, and when you push, it turns it on for that amount of time.
Yeah. So there you go.
Great little device. Like you don't need to connect it to anything.
That's pretty great.
It's just a simple little button. You're plugging the thing in, you push the button and you're done. We had these on our microwave as well, so that it would turn the microwave on for 30 minutes, because 99% of your power in your microwave is when it's sitting there idle, because most of us use it for like a couple of minutes a day, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know why they stopped making these things, but it was a great little product and didn't require anything. So there you go.
Time for the Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a
First up on Weird and Wacky is actually a petition that probably doesn't apply to most of us, but it's a European Union petition. Stop destroying video games. The text of this petition is actually really great, I think. It's basically a bunch of people saying like, look, you're making video games. We buy the video games, and then you brick the video games. So just don't do that.
Stop it.
You don't need to keep supporting it forever. We understand you don't want to keep, but don't leave it in a state where it's bricked. Leave it in a state that we can continue to play it because we bought it. We love these video games. We know that you've got to move on. So figure out a way to make it not cloud based. If that's what you want to do, if you want to stop supporting it, and just end it and let us keep playing the game. And I think I'm a fan of this. Like, we've heard of so many games that have just been destroyed. We've heard of websites that have just been wiped out. I read something about MTV, their website with all their old content. Yeah, just gone. It's gone.
Wow.
The owner just decided like, no, we're done, and just wiped it off the internet.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And like just decades of culture, of music history, just gone.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I thought was funny about this, I think it's like 47,000 signatures. I was like, that's a lot of people that want to keep their video game. Like, I would not sign. I don't care that much. I play video games, but I still would never sign. I don't care that much. But like 47,000 people cared enough to sign the petition, which is interesting. So,
yeah, it's funny when I saw this originally and I tagged it, it was only like a couple of dozen. So it is definitely
quite a bit. It's quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a good
thing. All right, next up, a Swiss town banned billboards. Zurich, Bern may follow. I now I know where I want to vacation next. That's really like I want to go to this town and experience no billboards. And that sounds great.
I kind of love this. So my town here in Metro Atlanta, in Duluth, we actually have a ban on big signs as well.
Okay.
Inside of the city of Duluth, there are no big signs. Even the McDonald's does not have the golden arches way up high. It is on the ground pretty low. So you've got to know that there's a Mickey D's there.
Interesting.
Because there's not a huge big sign. So the only big sign, there are a few big signs that exist that were grandfathered in before they put in this legislation, but there's no new signs, and anybody that wants to put in a new sign has to go through the process. And usually it's a pretty kind of low to the ground, not obnoxious sign.
Love that.
I think that visual kind of noise that is created by these things is awful. Like you see it on the highways so much.
It's the worst. Yeah.
Where it's like so many billboards, dude.
It's too much. Yeah.
It's too much. Let me enjoy the landscape. So that's a great thing. Something else that's not a great thing, I think, because this is super weird. Wear this AI friend around your neck. So you've watched the ad. I watched the ad too. This is weird, and no, like no.
I feel like so if I imagine like a nice dystopian future movie, I would imagine a movie where you wear an amulet around your neck that houses an amulet. Yeah. And that's kind of what this looks like. But this AI, whereas an amulet AI would really do a lot of stuff for you. This one, it basically just like kind of gives you like little encouraging texts and like push notifications.
So here's what I find very weird about this. You're talking to the thing, but then it's texting you on your phone.
Yeah. That's weird. That's a weird.
That's like you're in the middle of doing something. Like part of the video was like somebody was playing a video game and getting thrashed, and then the AI texts them saying, "Man, you're getting thrashed in the game." It was like throwing shade at the guy. Like, and then the last part of the commercial was a guy and a girl on a seemingly date, and she's talking about. He's like, "Oh, how did you find this place?" She was like, "Oh, I come up here by myself." Well, not really by myself, because I've always got her
my
with
AI,
me. And then it's like this weird cringy thing of like, okay, you're on a date, but it's actually three of you because you're viewing the AI as a person.
Thing. Yeah.
An amulet that's alive. It was,
I don't like
weird.
It.
So here's
weird.
you know what they've homed in on this issue that has been going on for a while. The Surgeon General even talked about this, how people don't have enough friends.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a problem.
That's true. That is a problem. Yes.
Creating a robot friend is not the solution to that.
Not the solution. Not the solution.
I mean, it is a solution. It's not a good solution.
It's it's not worthwhile. Yeah. Speaking of solutions that aren't good, I regret to inform you that Elon Musk has accepted Nicolas Maduro's fight challenge. So, I mean, apparently Musk really wants to fight somebody publicly. Like he's itching to fight some other major world leader. Or he's itching to pretend he wants to fight some other major world leader.
That's it. He wants to talk about how he wants to fight somebody, but not actually do it. Is what it is. Because he's a little scaredy cat that's going to talk about it, but never actually do it. Is what it is.
And who was it that was it Maduro that like suggested the fight? Is that what's happening here?
I think so. But here's the other thing. And I'm going to talk to you journalists and press people. Can you all just stop writing stories about Elon Musk?
In all fairness, we're talking about it. So we can't really say that we're talking about it. But listen, just for our listeners to know, that's the president of Venezuela. So like you have a president of a country issuing a fight challenge to the CEO of major tech. Like what world are we living in, man? Like,
By the way,
crazy crap.
By the way, the fact that you said that we are talking about it, implying that we're actually journalists and not just two yahoos on a tech comedy show, I think elevates us up dramatically.
I'm just saying we're talking about Musk. That's all. But I
was talking to the journalists that shouldn't write stories about it.
Fair.
Not two yahoos.
In all fairness, if I'm a journalist and the president of a country is challenging the CEO of a major tech company to a physical fight, I'm going to write about that crap, man. Like all day long, I'm going to write about that. That's crazy.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So, all right, well.
Tech wreck, time to get your tech wreck.
Tech wreck, chicky.
Tech wreck, time to get your tech wreck.
All right, Sanjay, it's tech wreck time. What do you have for us this week?
So I have a very small, simple little product that's probably not going to be useful for most of the listeners out there.
Oh, good. I have one that's not useful for most people too. So that's perfect.
Yeah,
okay, go
there
ahead.
you go. This is the Uctronics Gigabit Power over Ethernet Splitter. So here's the problem that I have. I've got these little IoT devices that need Ethernet and they need power.
Got it.
And sometimes those are in places where I've got an Ethernet hub that can supply power over Ethernet, but I don't have someplace to plug in this little device.
Got it.
So I found this little guy that's basically a little splitter that plugs in one side into the switch that's providing Ethernet and power. And then the other side, it provides a pass-through Ethernet for the device and a USB-C or a USB micro power plug to run the device.
Okay.
So it's like an all-in-one thing. So I can hide these little devices in a lot of little nooks and crannies that I've got in the house that I've got Ethernet, but nothing else. And so then I can power all the fancy things. I've actually liked this so much. I started with buying just one, and now I just bought my third one because it is so useful.
Nice.
And then the other great thing is that remotely, if I can turn off those Ethernet ports on the switch, which will fully reboot that device because it turns off power and it turns off Ethernet, which shuts off the device, which does basically a hard reboot. So I don't need to get up there and like touch the device to reboot it. I could just do it all remotely. So super simple, super easy. It's about $20. So if you need something like this, go check it out. It works fantastically. And that's why I bought 3 now so far. What about you, Adam? What do you got for us?
All right. So first, my pre-tech wreck from earlier in the show. So the Govee smart outlet, you can use the app to like say, hey, turn this outlet off after a certain amount of time, turn it on after a certain amount of time. You can set a schedule. It's like, it's amazing. That's a good tech wreck for everybody. Like it's a great smart outlet. It's not too expensive. The other one that almost no one listening is going to care about at all is the website trail7.com. And it is accessories and stuff for Jeep Wranglers and the new Ford Broncos. And so I recently decided to, in my old Jeep Wrangler, to replace the head unit, the stereo, with an Apple CarPlay. I was waiting for your laugh with an Apple CarPlay stereo. Sanjay's laughing because currently there's a ton of wires just hanging out of the dash because I have to wait to wire up the backup camera that's arriving today before I can put the dash back together. But the head unit does work. It works.
Because you're never going to get all those wires back into the car. And forever you're going to be driving with this mangle of wires sitting on the seat.
It's going to be fun. What I liked about Trail 7 is I ordered the head unit. And they do all the wiring stuff and like attach the right wiring harnesses. So it's like just plug and play basically into the existing Jeep. And I think they flashed some software on it so that all of my existing like steering wheel buttons work with the new device. And so I don't lose any functionality, which is really nice. So if you're a Jeep Wrangler person or a Bronco person, it's a great site for accessories. So, and now you got Govee and Trail 7. So
there you go.
Yeah, so there you go. Sanjay, how can our listeners find and connect with you?
They can find me at sanjayparekh.com. What about you, Adam?
You can find me at adamjwalker.com, or you can find me out on the trail in the Jeep Wrangler.
On the 7th trail, or
on the 7th trail,
or the 6th trail, the 8th trail.